Well, here we are in Southern California in the wake of one of the most historic elections, now we can say inaugurations, of our lifetime. The entire world has been in limbo, on pins and needles, waiting for the return of the Donald Trump. Now that we have that, we have a flag. All flags that were half-mast are now full-mast. Half-mast due to the fires, now full-mast due to the resurgency, the return of Donald Trump 2.0.
Everybody knows, but I don't say enough now. It was a sound so very loud, but now I want to hear. I got something. It's keeping me waiting. But down along the way road, back home. Slowly down the hall.
What an appropriate tune for Trump 2.0. That's absolutely correct, everybody. This is Real Deal Media's #1 late night show. It's back in action, World at War. I am your host here tonight, Dean Ryan, the one and only. Yes, who is reeling in from an incredible inauguration morning where I was zombified, but it was the spirit of 76 that got me out of the coma. But it is so good here to be here tonight. Tonight we have a bombastic show. That's a little late tonight, and we do apologize, but the amount and the level and urgency of news coming out literally every hour is monumental, world-changing, history-changing as we speak. Absolutely. And we're going to be getting into everything Trump 2.0 here tonight with Jim Fetzer, who's going to be coming up soon to just go over all of the executive orders. I don't think anyone's done that. Plus, there's so many, over 200 executive orders have been signed. We're going to be looking to exactly what that entails, who that is all about. Yeah. Yes. But also, we're going to be examining, not to mention, we're going to be examining the incredible executive orders that Biden gave. And to who? To who, you might have to ask. So that's what we're going to do. Plus, there's some major news in the J6 fiasco. If you saw some videos late last night released by Real Deal Media, well, that's because I saw what just exactly happened. They were not allowed to leave. So we'll be looking into just who's still left behind. I mean, 1,500. Some have left. We'll get into that. Plus, in the second half tonight, we're going to get into some Real Deal International, but then we're going to be bogged down talking about all these deep state criminals now. As John Bolton is back in the action, Mitch McConnell, everybody's pissed off at Donald Trump. Everybody is pissed off, which I love. Plus some of the news press secretaries and what you're thinking out there, and international too. We're going to get into some Caribbean news. The wave of crime in Mexico is just piling through, not just Mexico and all the tourist areas. It's now in the Caribbean. All of the West are going on their vacations and holidays. We'll look into that, but it's just too much here to cover here tonight. So we are broadcasting, before we get started, I should mention we are broadcasting live on Dean Ryan TV, as well as over there on YouTube. Hello, everybody. And which, by the way, if you notice, if you were watching yesterday morning, we got taken down from YouTube. I don't know if you're aware of this. Many of you told me about it. I was deeply offended. Further upon looking, they took us down when the Italian guy started singing. And I said, what? And then they made a mistake, so now they put it up. But you see how I am the redheaded stepchild around here. I'm getting really tired of it. I'm a person too, damn it. I really, truly am. So we do apologize about that and every other issue that it may make. So let's get started with some headlines from around the world and in your neck of the woods, shall we? Well, let's get started. This is actually just breaking now. I have like major breaking news on all fronts. Just pick one. But this one is quite serious. In the wake of, I shouldn't even say the wake, the LA fires have now spreaded throughout Palisades, Hollywood Hills, Laurel Canyon. Well, now they're in San Bernardino, but also big time in San Diego. Oh, yeah. We have San Diego fires that have now reached Mission Valley, as you can see there, Mission Valley, San Diego. Let me tell you a bit more about it here because this is quite dastardly. Totally not climate change like we originally thought. Well, evacuation orders issued after wildfire breaks out now in San Diego County again. This happened days ago. The evacuation happened today at 11:30 a.m. That's right. The Lilac fire has now burned 85 acres and was 35% contained, but the winds, the Santa Ana winds here in California, have definitely made it impossible to contain anything, especially the fires of San Diego that are now raging. But to pin it off here, they say the fire was threatening structures, many homes, including 6 fire engines, but the fire is now around 16 acres and it is, well, they're saying the progress is now stopped. But this should tell you right now that there's an effort to burn California. No doubt about it. We are under attack still. This is still a world at war. So that's happening on that front. But let's talk about some of these other things happening here. As now, you might have heard about it, the J6 prisoners. Well, they let some out, but some of them they didn't. That's true. Well, now Trump, if you missed it, he pardoned literally overnight all of the J6 prisoners and commuted some of them. We heard about that late yesterday. Well, there it is. Yeah, Donald Trump has just pardoned and commuted the sentences of all J6 prisoners. Yes, he did. But there seems to be trouble in paradise. Late last night. This happened. You might have seen it already.
You're literally all I got. But no more are going to be released tonight, okay? And tomorrow is a brand new day. We'll see what tomorrow brings, okay? I'll probably be here with you, okay?
It's a violation.
No, I was told no more
They're not gone
tonight.
by midnight. They're moving.
No more tonight, okay? And tomorrow, I don't know, okay? And that's the best I got for you. Nope. I'm sure they're fine, but no. The commander has assured me no more being released tonight.
Oh, good.
Okay?
You worry about the
I understand. I very much understand.
Okay, tell your boss. He's in this area.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Tell him not to pepper spray him and give him
Okay.
Yeah. He'll know more tomorrow. Well, tomorrow came. He still doesn't know. What gives? Well, here's what we do know is some of the J6 prisoners who have left. Well, let me tell you about this. One of them we know is definitely a familiar person around here at Real Deal Media. Well, one of them also is Enrique Torrio, the former head of the Proud Boys, and the other one, Stuart Rhodes, the head of Oath Keepers. Well, they were finally released today, Tuesday or today, depending when you're watching this back. But yes, they've released Stuart Rhodes and Enrique, the other guy, released from prison following President Donald Trump's sweeping pardon of those convicted in connection with January 6th Capitol riots. Well, they were serving, get this, 22 and 18-year sentences. Talk about horse manure served on a silver platter. Well, that's it right there. Well, the federal judge sentenced Rhodes in May of 2023, and he was convicted of seditious conspiracy the year prior for his and his group's role in the so-called riot. The Oath Keepers had stockpiled weapons at D.C. hotel and organized the attack, according to prosecutors who've now disbanded. Who remembers the DNC destroying the evidence? Well, Rhodes told himself he did not enter Capitol on January 6th, and that's true. He told me personally, and maintained that his group only intended to provide security and medical aid to those attending to the pro-Trump demonstrations in the area. The Proud Boys, who is a former FBI informant, they say. Well, Enrique was sentenced to for seditious conspiracy, and given the longest sentence of all the convicted rioters, and he was not alone. During his sentencing, prosecutors pointed to a 9-page strategic plan to storm the government building in Washington on January 6th. And the rest is history. But let me give you the breaking news now. This is what our very own Aaron Cates, who is always combing through the sands of news. Well, here is the first breaking news we have. A released January 6 political prisoner now claims to have evidence that he will present to Congress. This is huge. He will present to Congress proving Nancy Pelosi's responsibility for the events of January 6. There you have it. These guys are going to be talking. They're going to be talking. I believe Joe Biggs is going to be on the Alex Jones show soon. Here's the other breaking news. Speaking of federal prosecution, we can now tell you that Puff Daddy, this is pretty wild. Federal prosecutors are now also planning to reveal Sean Diddy Combs' co-conspirators this coming March for the March Madness. Wow, Jim, I have to bring you in early because I just can't take the amount of news. I know you want to comment on this. Welcome to World at War, Jim. What a special edition of it today we have. But you want to comment on that because, first of all, let's tackle the J6. They were not letting, aren't they supposed to obey the executive orders and let all the prisoners out? They weren't.
I think this raises the rather profound question: are Democrats going to adhere to the rule of law? I mean, that's what makes the United States distinctive, that we are a nation of laws rather than of men. But all parties in authority are expected to adhere to and follow the law. And the fact is that Democrats have been grossly disrespectful of the Constitution, election laws, and a host of others. The events at January 6th were manufactured. Pelosi undoubtedly had a key role. Chuck Schumer, Mayor Bowser, who, by the way, refused to provide security for the inauguration outside, which was one of the reasons they had to move inside, that the mayor, who seems to have a grudge against Trump, as do most of these liberal and progressive Democrats who don't understand American values or the actual nature of democracy. Very disturbing.
Yes, it is. There's Stuart Rhodes, Jim, who was, believe it or not, he was set to join Real Deal Media before they picked him up. He was going to be doing a traveling show with us. Sad to say, he never made that. And then the other guy, now this is very suspect too. And you know, I don't know too much about the Proud Boys, but if they're going to, this is going to implicate Pelosi. I think we're going to be finding out why Biden was giving everybody pardons, because I think this is a major downfall
The
The smoking
January 6th committee knew the facts. They simply distorted the outcome. They cherry picked. They only presented the evidence favorable to their side of condemning Trump, but none of the mess. It would have been 90% of the evidence that exonerated him and showed he acted responsibly. It was all contrived. So Biden rushed to give them protection, but I'm not at all convinced it's going to hold up. I mean, they have committed major crimes against the American people. This is yet to be determined, but it's going to become a scandal.
Yes. No, it definitely will. It definitely will. So I want to get your take on this next story, Jim. Stand by here. This is now speaking of other things as we continue our Real Deal headlines. Well, here's some other things that are now happening. Well, you might have heard that today is the first day that Tom Hanman and the rest of the Immigration Customs Enforcement, well, they're going to be doing major roundups. Oh, yes, they are. Oh, yes, they are. And one of those, well, it looks like this. You're going to see this more and more and more wherever you may be in the inner cities.
Salió migración. Oh my God. Mira, cayó migración. Cayó migración. Encontraron, creo. Tengan cuidado. Anda migración ahorita. Uy, mira.
They always be at the farmers market over there on the south side at the big farmers market. Yeah, but Chambly, that's little Mexico, Chambly, Buford side, all that right there. Oh, they always be at the gas stations too. All the gas stations. QT, they be at the QT when you get off on is that Turner Hill, the one that's over there by the Six Flags? What exit is that? Them all the Mexicans be outside. What them, huh?
So big money's to be made by turning in illegal migrants. That is the new occupation for some, might be most. Well, continuing another element in the great buyback of the United States. Well, now immigrant rights lawyers, advocates are now all coming out, who all happen to be from California. I mean, it's about time. We're all waiting for them now as the immigrant rights advocates rally in Riverside, California after Trump signs a flurry of executive orders. Yeah. Well, one of these is a huge one, and we're going to cover this in all of our executive order segment, but this is a huge one. Let me tell you, Trump, in one of the executive orders, has signed, it ends the birthright citizenship. Yes, the birthright citizenship, where if you have your baby here, you can become a citizen, which horribly abused. Well, among these, yes, that were signed is the flagrantly illegal attempt to redefine a right, is what Trump's saying, enshrined in the very fabric of our country. Argued a lawsuit filed last night in Massachusetts. And by the way, multiple lawsuits from multiple NGOs have been thrown at the Trump administration across the board. You better believe it. Lawfare is just getting started. Well, this lawsuit now is brought by an undocumented expectant mother who's due in March, and two nonprofit groups is expected to be one of the many legal challenges of the executive order that seeks to reinterpret the 14th Amendment's guarantee of citizenship to nearly every person born in the United States. So there you have it. That's a perfect example. The people that sneak through here, they deserve it. This is their land. We need to get off. Like I was saying, I mean, it's going to come down to a point where we may need H-1B visas for Americans just to work here. But that's thinking of the old now. It's the thinking of the old. Well, another major change, because I can't keep up. It's just too much winning, everybody. I mean, I'm sweating while I read. But now this is a very telling thing about the military. Not only is the military who were told to go to Hades when they didn't want to get the miracle jabs, not only are they being brought back with back pay, but the DEI hires and the trannies, I guess you could say, they're all going away. Well, in this particular case now, DEI focused Coast Guard Commandant Linda Lee Fagan is now fired over erosion of trust. Yes, erosion of trust and erosion of common sense as well. Well, the commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard, who once called diversity and equity inclusion an operative imperative, was terminated Tuesday over lagging recruitment and an erosion of trust in the service branch. Yes, acting Homeland Security Secretary Benjamin Huffman relieved Fagan, the first woman to lead any U.S. service branch, of her duties in what has been called a long and illustrious career, right into the dumpster, if you want to know, according to Coast Guard bulletins. I think her service, her nation, and all the rest of the niceties. But this is okay. Just so you know what we're dealing with here, all the DI hires. Here is the command. These are the people who are going to let go right from the military right now as we speak. I mean, it's no surprise, is it? So there it is. There you have you have John Elway right there, right before a game, just getting all loathed up. So, but there's a lot of people who are being left out in the cold, the DEI, and the woke stuff. It doesn't work anymore, and it's falling upon deaf ears, even if you're someone of the clergy. Well, this happened today. Someone wanted to give Donald Trump, while he was at church, a damn good whacking. Check
In the
this
name
out.
of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meatpacking plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation. But the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away. May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people in this nation and the world.
And the world, they're all part of our community. Jim, I'm going to bring you in because doesn't the Reverend, lesbian Reverend, doesn't she just want us to all get along? Is that what her effort is?
Yeah, I thought that was a bit of abusive. And why are they in fear of their lives? Trump's not talking about killing illegals. He's talking about returning them to their country of origin. By the way, I thought Melania looked wonderful there. And wasn't
speaking of the devil?
Yeah, this was quite
Yes.
a fashion statement at the inauguration, for which she's received both praise and criticism, but something pretty snazzy there.
Yes, yes, it is. And you know what we figured out? It is a play. You know, Melania speaks through fabric, and it's very cryptic. This is a V for Vendetta ordeal here. So, like I said, if you watched the inauguration with all of us yesterday morning, there was a very different Trump, a very focused, a very serious Trump. There wasn't laughing. He didn't crack a smile at the inauguration. It was focused. And Jim, I think we're leading up to something because Biden gave Fauci a pardon. Why would he give Fauci a pardon? And that's what they're asking, like Adam Schiff. Well,
not just a pardoning, but it went back to 2014. So it appears Fauci was involved in dirty bioweapon development, possibly even with the Department of Defense, years before the reported pandemic. And of course, in my judgment, is going to go down as one of the great mass murderers of all time for promoting the vax.
Well, there's something. Catherine Harris, who's a very well-respected journalist in the field, well, she posted the following today, Jim, and I think this speaks volumes to what we're to expect this year.
Trump administration begins its first 100 days in office. We are at Guantanamo Bay and we'll be reporting from here at Camp Justice. We'll be inside the courtrooms. We'll have updates on the status of the military trials as well as the detention camps. This new administration is going to have to make some hard choices about the future of this operation.
Something's happening, Jim. Something's happening. 9/11 keeps being brought up again. There's a new trial with the Saudis or, whoever's in Gitmo. And I figured out why they call it the YMCA too, is apparently that's code word for Gitmo. That's Trump's code word. Yeah.
Interesting. There is, that wonderful MAGA variation on the YMCA song. Ricky Rebel, for example, sings It's Wonderful. I always thought Trump ought to adopt that as his theme song for his rallies rather than YMCA.
Well, or Macho Man, that's a good one too. But so that's how that. Jim, we're going to hit some real deal politics and get your take on everything in the DC Beltway. Well, here we continue with Trump 2.0, everything Trump 2.0. It's just incredible. It's amazing, but it is something very special, as now we can tell you about the Trump executive orders that everybody's talking about. We're going to go over the full list with Jim Fetzer. And there's a lot of criticism about some of these executive orders. And why wouldn't there be? Where was the criticism all this time? But maybe to put it in perspective, because we're going to hear about, and I have a list. I put a list together of our own. And pardons, too. He's still pardoning people. And here's a few things that we managed to scrap here. Here it is. Yeah, so Rand Paul was even talking about Fauci. If there was ever any doubts who bears responsibility for the COVID pandemic, Biden's pardon of Fauci forever seals the deal. As chairman of the Senate Homeland Security Government Affairs Committee, I will not rest until the entire truth of the cover-up is exposed. Fauci's pardon will only serve as an accelerant to pierce the veil of deception. Ignominious Anthony Fauci will go down in history as the first government scientist to preemptively pardon for a crime. Yeah. Should be a dead scientist. That's how we see it. But so many people are saying, well, what are the executive orders? What do you mean? Well, some of them, they're talking about the closing down of federal government institutions, the closing down of years old bridges to nowhere, but really for the censorship to stop of the federal government, who has been allowed to do censorship and propaganda since the riddance of the Smith-Mudd Act. It's all coming back into place. Here it is. Here's Trump's EOs, and we'll talk about it with Jim after.
Biden era EOs and presidential memoranda.
You want to go over that? Do you want to say it? Do you want to say it?
Oh, if you want me to, sir.
Why don't you say what I'm saying?
Sure. The first item that President Trump is signing is the rescission of 78 Biden era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others. Thank you, sir. Thank you. The second item, President Trump, is a regulatory freeze, as you announced in your speech, preventing bureaucrats from issuing any more regulations until we have full control of this, the government and this administration.
Pretty fascinating stuff. Let's bring in, let's talk about it now. Let's go over everything, because you have some ideas of what you thought a great executive order was, and then you have some ideas what you thought the bad one was. But let's start with some good executive orders. I had the damn list here, Jim, but just off the top of your head, Jim, you talked about, here's a good one, U.S. government to give minority status to that's a bad one. Hold on. Wait, hold on. Yeah. We don't spoil the ending yet. Don't.
Dean, let me just
can't keep
add
up.
by way of background.
Go ahead, please.
The
Save
reason
me,
Trump
please.
can do so much so fast by executive orders is because due to divided government, Biden did most of his mischief and damage to the United States by executive orders, and executive orders by one president can be reversed or nullified by the next, which is what's happening here. So he's able to go just zoom through 200 plus bad executive orders. Look, the very first he signed nullified 78. And those included sex, stuff about transgender and men and women's sports and the whole bit. DEI and the like, which Biden had implemented, not by the congressional process of laws, but rather by executive orders. So, when the Democrats say we want a president, not a king, they were enshrining Biden as a king through all these executive orders. He went wild.
Oh, he went. I mean, he went real wild, didn't he? But can that be rescinded in one night, Jim? Because as you saw the guardsmen at the prison, and as we saw big tech during Trump 1.0, they don't seem to obey executive orders. What can be done? What is the protocol when that happens?
Oh, Trump's going to have to use the military. He's going to have to use the police, law enforcement, sheriffs, who are constitutional. I mean, in most states, the sheriffs bear the responsibility of upholding the Constitution in their state. I think the Democrats are showing their true colors, that they disrespect the rule of law unless it benefits their control of political power in America. I think this is all exposing them even more profoundly than they've been exposed in the past.
Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't share this controversy with you. Is a lot of people are bringing this up to the fact that when Trump was swearing in, did you hear about this, Jim? That he did put his hand on the Bible.
Well,
so did he?
The event was a little late. No, it's all legit. He was properly sworn in. There are various explanations.
Jim, let's see. I have footage. Jim. We're going to study where the hand is. Okay.
No. I'm not disputing
this.
That.
The footage.
I'm saying
here it is.
that,
okay, go ahead.
One of the reasons is we're talking about the Lincoln Bible, and they don't want to get acidic moisture of hands. They could stain it, but it was a bit
Lincoln Bible.
The event, they were running a little late, and I think it didn't all go.
That was odd. No, that was definitely odd, Jim. We didn't see a lot of the faces, but here's some footage of the swearing.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
I think that Melania has so much class, Dean. I enjoy her public appearances. Yeah, she is really class. She reminds
while
me
we're on the
more of
topic,
Jackie. Go ahead.
Well, while we're on the topic, Jim, here's some other sights and sounds and scenes that we missed, and the audience might have missed too. I thought was very interesting. And pay attention to Billy Ray Cyrus towards the end. It's I'm speechless, if you know what I'm saying. But here it is: sights and sounds of the inauguration.
Okay, Lauren Sanchez. What? Okay. JFK, do not look down at those. Do not look at them. Oh, there's going to be memes all over the internet. Lauren, did you need a safety pin or did you have one and you busted it? I think you needed to borrow a safety pin, but you look great. Okay.
Don't tell my heart, my head can break it hard. I just don't think you'd understand. And if you tell my heart, my head can break it hard. He might blow up and kill his band.
There's a report now, Dean, by the way, that Fetterman is considering turning Republican, abandoning the Democrat Party.
See, Jim, I always knew you liked John Fetterman deep down inside. It was one of my, I'm glad that you guys came together on that.
It's good to see RFK Jr. there, by the way. I like that.
Well, yes, he was looking at Jeff Bezos. Anyways, so here's some other good executive orders. I want to bring this up. Jim brought this to the party. Let me bring this to the stage here because I'm definitely learning a thing or two. As now Justin Trump fires thousands of disloyal White House employees who probably had pink hair, and he just drove them where. So on our first day in the White House, this is Donald Trump saying, "Is not over yet. My presidential personal office is actively in the process of identifying and removing over 1,000 presidential appointees from the previous administration who are not aligned with our vision to make America great again. Let this serve as office notice of dismissal for these 4 individuals, with many more coming." Look at that. Jose Andres from the President's Council, Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. Mark Miley. And from the National Infrastructure Advisor Council, Brian Hook, Wilson Center. Okay, so let's talk about this. General Miley, a former Trump military advisor, later head of the Joint Chief of Staff, was summarily pardoned by Joe Biden. Jim, I have to ask you about this. What is the role of Mark Miley from Trump 1.0 phase? Because there's been so much dramas, and it escapes me of what crime he did to deserve a pardon.
It was actually Millie Dean. He was head of the Joint Chiefs. He's the one who refused to follow Trump's order for 5,000 National Guardsmen to be there on January 6th to provide security. He delayed doing it. And he later admitted having deliberately not followed Trump's order. So Millie's been given a new assignment. See, that's why you're not putting 2 and 2 together. He's being dismissed from a different position, but it's because of his past behavior as chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
Well, interesting. You see how that works? Speaking of that, I put that list up there. You might have seen it briefly. These are all the people who Trump yanked their security clearance.
Yeah, the
yanked
51
it's gone.
Intel frauds claimed that the laptop, Hunter Biden laptop, which they knew was completely authentic, was Russian disinfo. Disgusting.
Oh, yeah. Big time disgusting. Now, here's another thing that I was going to share, too, is I just learned about this now as, get this, why did Biden, weeks ago, if you recall, he granted his son, Hunter, an unprecedented decade-long pardon, shielding him from tax fraud. And then he starts warning us about the unhealthy and unwealthy oligarchy, ultra-wealthy, excuse me. Well, now 6 major banks, Jim, this is some breaking news. 6 major banks, including JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and Wells Fargo, filed over 170 suspicious activity reports with the Treasury Department, alleging that the Biden family's involvement in money laundering, human trafficking, and tax fraud is at play. Congressional investigations uncovered that foreign funds from Russia, China, and Ukraine were funded through 20 Biden-linked shell companies before being distributed to 9 Biden families, including his grandchild. Can you believe that? Well, none of the Bidens registered under a Foreign Agent Registration Act. So in other words, the Biden family who lived by their own set of rules to avoid paying their fair share are now being caught by the big banks themselves. Jim, that's probably why he was given everybody he knows a pardon. The human trafficking.
Jonathan Turley, perhaps our leading constitutional authority, has been for decades talking about the Biden crime family, and he's observing this is a formal acknowledgement that the Biden family was indeed performing criminal activities, that it's been formalized by means of these pardons.
Right. No, I think you're right on that. And Tom Fitton had something to say about it. Tom Fitton from
Judicial Watch.
Yes, that Tom Fitton. Well, here he is. Tell us, Tom, what it is. At your leisure. Come on, you piece of shit.
So I tell you, if Biden preemptively pardons Billy in a way that I think is unlawful, they really should challenge it with a court-martial. And there's more reason to court-martial him. And Judicial Watch just filed a lawsuit to investigate it. He was involved in a collusive attack on our freedom with Merrick Garland in a meeting. So I tell you.
There you go. Court-martial.
That's Tom Pitt was interesting. Yeah. He's saying he could be court-martialed because he's violated the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Millie. See, which I think may be exempt from this presidential pardon business. That's very interesting that Tom Pitt makes that suggestion. I like it.
Well, yeah, they're suing, but here's another big pardon. Speaking of pardons here, who could forget America's most hated pencil neck, Adam Schiff? Jim, I got to be honest, I hate this guy. I really hate Adam Schiff. I mean, I hate him more than you do.
Despicable, Dean. You have good reason.
Look at this. Schiff calls Trump January 6 pardons a grotesque display of power. A sharply criticized, sweeping pardon. Now, the beauty of it, without reading this, the whole thing is they keep asking Adam Schiff, why did he give you a pardon? And they won't say on air. They won't say what the pardon could be for or what it could be hinting at. But he's the most guiltiest of them all, is he not, Jim? Adam Schiff.
Well, he and Liz Cheney, in terms of the January 6th committee and Bernie Thompson, Biden's had to pardon them all because they were responsible for the destruction of evidence, even if after they'd been formally served with an order to preserve the evidence that exonerated Trump. And they were so corrupt, so intent on not allowing their duplicity to be exposed, they went ahead and destroyed the documents anyway. These are very serious offenses.
Oh, it's so bad. It is so bad. And here is a better list of what exactly the type of creeps we're talking about and the heretics, if you will. On this final day in office, he pardoned, Fauci, General Mark Miley, and the entire January 6th committee. Fauci accused of causing millions of deaths through biological warfare. Miley allegedly committed treason by sharing intel with China. That's huge. And also the January 6th committee is accused of fabricating evidence to imprison Americans while destroying real evidence and expose their corruption. That is damn straight. Damn straight. Yeah. There you have it. Jim, we're going to take a break, and I'm going to go punch a wall and just feel good about myself. Stand by there. You're watching Trump 2.0. It's just a very special edition of World at War. But when we get back, we're going to be getting further along the line of this mischief here tonight with Jim Fetzer's Trump administration. He's back. This is unprecedented times. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this message. That's right. We're happy to announce Real Deal Media, now powered by the Wellness Company, is now offering ivermectin amongst an assortment of plenty of fighters for you that will fight the awful cancer. All you got to do is go to twc.health/Dean Ryan. That's me. Promo code Dean Ryan. Promo code Dean Ryan. They picked that, not me, but that's fine. And you get just a whole assortment of things. In fact, I'm getting a whole package myself. I can't wait for it. Very exciting stuff. So you don't want to miss that. Also, before I forget, we have our New Year's sale still, which is now almost the Trump 2.0 sale. We'll just say that. Go to realdealmedia.tv /store. Now, we have a new piece that's going to be in there by tonight. It's this one right here. For all those who are enjoying Trump 2.0, get the long sleeve black shirt. Where's that charcoal, depending who you ask. We also have it in baseball as well. Trump 2.0, dark colors, just the way it is, because there's something different about this time around. So go to realdealmedia.tv /store. Make sure to use promo code LIVE25 for 50% off. This is a crazy sale. I must be crazy. So crazy. Go there today. And also thank you to everyone who has donated to Real Deal Go. You keep this operation fueled. Yes, you do. Also, Jim, what do you think about this, Jim? Is this something you would wear? I can see you in it.
Very handsome, Dean. Very handsome.
In fact, I know what Jim really wants to wear. He wants to wear one of these. But also, we should congratulate Jim, too, with his new role as the chief of staff.
Love the motion.
There is mini Trump. I love it, don't you? Yes, it is. So go there today. All right. Let's get back to business. We have a few more things to go. We're talking about executive orders and pardons. It's all kind of blurred into one, Jim. I mean, if you're keeping up with this, congratulations. It is quite tough. But just to recap what we were talking about before the break is we were getting into all these pardons and the Biden family completely exonerated. Yet the people who are not exonerated, who are spit on by the media, are the prisoners from J6. But I do have another announcement. Aaron has shared this with us. Jake Lang, if you remember Jake Lang, the prisoner who shared the stage with us on election night, you remember him, Jim, I think Jim was here. He was prohibited from leaving his cell last night, and the guards beat him up and everything. It's a whole ordeal. I can now announce Jake Lang, and if you don't know who he is, you'll see in a second. He is now released today, just now. This gentleman right here. Yes, released today after 4 years and 5 days without trial. No trial. He was finally released today. He's a young man and just wanted to go back to see his parents. It's heartbreaking, Jim. 4
Well,
years.
just look how that illustrates my point about the rule of law. The Democrats don't give a damn about law. They don't give a damn about the Constitution. They don't give a damn about rights to a trial, a speedy trial. I mean, it's just disgusting. These people have been incarcerated and they just threw away the key. They've ignored them. They've suffered monstrously. Some have committed suicide, for crying out loud. That's the Democrat Party of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
And Rage Against Machine is here tonight. Yes, V for Vendetta, Rage Against Machine, is exactly what Melania was forecasting that night. Absolutely. And also was, Jim's a fan, huge fan. But yeah, you're right, Jim. So good on, congratulations to Mr. Jake Lang, young guy. So let's now continue, Jim, about the executive order you don't like. I'm going to bring that up. And you want to preface that because we're on such a roll here. As I bring this up, this has to do with Israel. Israel. Go ahead. It's U.S. government to give minority status. Go ahead.
We've all had the concern that Trump's enthusiasm for Israel is going to override his dedication to the best interests of America. And this is an example of an executive order that I think was misconceived and is going to raise further apprehension about whether he's making Israel great again rather than America. Because this is treating Israeli businessmen, Jewish businessmen in America, who are extremely successful as minorities, making them eligible for billions in benefits they do not need. This act was not designed to benefit successful Jewish businessmen. So I think this is a EO.
There it is right there. They could humiliate. Here's the numbers. Household income of U.S. religious groups. The Jews take first place again. They get the gold medal, followed by the Hindu. That's what they do. Followed by the Episcopal Church, also the Presbyterian Church. Then there's the atheists who don't have a church, so they probably have they have a seat. Then they have the agnostic. So, Jim, if there's any religion here you see of interest and you want to join, I would go with what suits you. But Jim, don't you see this though? I want to ask you: do you not see this as a give and take kind of thing? Because Trump is the big negotiator. He just doesn't give in and lose. We have to get something back bigger in return. Could this all be part of just the deal, if you will?
Well, what's the deal? Giving these wealthy Jewish businessmen, go back up to the top. It points out that these Jewish businessmen are the wealthiest and most successful in the country. Look right off the bat. Jewish Americans who have the highest incomes in the country of any ethno-religious group are going to be eligible for billions in new benefits meant to help struggling minorities under new rules for the Department of Commerce. They don't need that help. They don't deserve that help. And I don't like it, Dean. This is something that troubles me. I voted for Trump not once, not twice, for 3 times. I'm a strong Trump supporter, but I worry. And this kind of action reinforces apprehensions and he may have too much enthusiasm for Israel. Now, he said so many good things, and I'm so happy, and I think he's on a roll. I'm just introducing a note of caution here.
Right. No, absolutely. We have here we have
Ranger.
We have Ranger Buck who said this is so they can charge anti-Semitism as a hate crime under the Federal Civil Rights Act. I don't think so. A lot of these laws that are going to be banning the speech, I don't think Americans abide to that. I think it's a it's a opportunity to flex our First Amendment rights and our muscles. I do see that. Okay, here's another one
We have
here.
an unfortunate development that Harvard has settled a case alleging that they didn't provide sufficient protection for Jewish students when the Palestinian protesters were opposed to genocide, not to Jews, to genocide. And as part of the settlement, they're adopting this International Holocaust Commission definition that makes anti-Semitism include any criticism of the actions of the government of Israel, which is all wrong. So I'm very troubled. I mean, the point by the commentator here is on the right track. That they are trying to broaden the meaning of anti-Semitism to include any criticism of Israel, no matter what it does. And that is completely wrong. Violates the First Amendment, is outrageous, and should not be supported. Yet it seemed to be moving forward nonetheless.
Yeah, why do they always have to ban hateful speech? Why can't it be stupid speech? You know, you ever think, speaking of stupid, Jim, as I make a segue into Save My Life, well, guess who's very mad at Donald Trump? John Bolton. Yes. Right. Michael Bolton is mad at Trump here. Look at this. He's disappointed, Jim. He's not angry. He's just disappointed. Well, here it is. Here's a little video explaining it.
John Bolton's security clearance, sir.
It was, I think there was enough time. It's, you take a job. You want to do a job. We're not going to have security on people for the rest of their lives. Why should we? I thought he was a very dumb person, but I used him well because every time people saw me come into a meeting with John Bolton standing behind me, they thought that he'd attack them because he was a warmonger. He's the one who got us involved, along with Cheney and a couple of others, convinced Bush, which was a terrible decision, to blow up the Middle East. You know, we blew up the Middle East and we left. We got nothing out of it except a lot of death. We killed a lot of people, and John Bolton was, one of those guys, a stupid guy. But no, you can't have that for life. You shouldn't expect it for life.
Those were wonderful remarks. Those are some of the best he made because they express a sincere desire for peace in the Middle East. I mean, there was not a shred of Israeli bias in those comments. But I can imagine John Bolton's head exploded when he heard Trump describe him as stupid.
Right. Well, of course. Jim, we have so many people who are chiming in here. As you can imagine, this is a very controversial, very, people have a thing or two to say about it, as we have a record number of people, about 500 people watching live right now all over the world. Okay. Here's Liz Marchant from Australia, who says the following: the pro-Palestinians are opposed to the Jewish community here in Australia, which is ripping apart our country. Muslims are out of control here. Now, we like Muslims in control. We don't like them out of control. Sorry to hear that, Liz Marchant. They got a hell of a fight with the Chinese. I like to see that one. Here's another. Should we just buy Australia too, Jim? Didn't Trump kind of allude to buying Australia? And what would be?
Maybe we could send all the Democrats down to Australia.
I was just going to say that because there's not enough room at Gitmo, and it naturally is a community of
a penal colony. Australia was originally a penal colony for the British Empire.
Yes. Okay, we have a lot of people on Rumble. Okay, we have Aaron Cates, who will be here, I believe, tomorrow night. We'll find out. He said, don't need the laws. Agreed. Just need fair justice. Palestinian protests are Antifa coming out soon. Well, that's in Canada. Yeah, that's, they snuck into the Trump protest too. That's just what the communists are going to be doing all over the place. No doubt about it. Okay, here's apparently Trump bought Australia. See, I'm not crazy. Okay, Stacey Nelson says the real Australian people don't want them Democrats either. Only the Democrat politicians want them there. That's true too.
Good.
Happy Abram says, "Didn't Trump fire Bolton?" ? Did he fire Bolton? What was that ordeal?
Right.
Yes. I wish he didn't. I wish he could bring him back to fire him again. That'd be dig him up. Here's another one here. We have 9/11. People are asking, is 9/11 going to come back into play? What do we know about? There's a huge trial with the Saudis, a family suing the Saudi government. That's going forward. And that's why I think Gitmo's coming back too. What do we know about 9/11, Jim? Is Trump going to resurrect that? Because I think he is.
Well, Dean, the catch is it was an Israeli op. Bibi Netanyahu and Ehud Olmert with the brain trust, they conceived of it in around 1990 as a way to draw U.S. military forces into the Middle East to take out the modern Arab states that served as a counterbalance to Israel's domination of the entire region and eventually to confront the Persian nation of Iran. So, I mean, they had over 200 Mossad agents who were in New York City. They were going to blow up the Lincoln Tunnel, the Holland Tunnel, the Brooklyn Bridge. In addition to destroying the Twin Towers, they had surveillance units on Staten Island who were filming the event. And if it weren't for the New York PD being really on top of it, Manhattan would have been isolated as an island from the rest of the country.
Here's a question, and then I want to ask you about one of the new press secretary is very, very young. I want to get your take on that. We have Ranger Buck again who says the crown is gone, so someone has to own Canada, Australia, and other crown countries, but we don't need to buy them. We provide their security so that they don't go with China or Russia. That's true. Yeah, the crown is bankrupt. Thank you, Buck, for that. And then we have Tim Finch who says, all security clearance holders are done getting paid for interviews on the fake news stations. Tim, are you talking about this bunch right here? Is that who you're referring to? Because I think you're right. Also, okay, Jim, I want to get your take on this, but I have to show this. There's a pardon that Trump gave for Ross Ulbricht. He just called the mother of Ross Ulbricht to let her know that in honor of her and the libertarian movement, which supported me so strongly, it was my pleasure to have just signed a full and unconditional pardon of her son, Ross. The scum that worked to convict him were some of the same lunatics who were involved in the same modern-day weaponization of government against me. He was given 2 life sentences plus 40 years. Let me just say, Ross Ulbricht, if you don't know his story, he created the Silk Road. It's Obama's DOJ that persecuted him and many other political prisoners harshly, like J6. I took it upon myself, Jim. I don't know if I ever told you, about 5 years ago, I met the mother of Ross Ulbricht, and I was actually working with Roger Stone at the time to get a whole slurry of presidential pardons for our political prisoners years and years ago, 5 years ago. So it's so great to see that it finally connected, but I helped set that up. That's wonderful. Okay, Jim, finally, I want to get your take on what do you think about the new, meet the new press secretary. Here it is. Donald Trump's new press secretary is 27 years old. Let's find out.
Carolyn
This man is already doing more in less than 24 hours than his predecessor did in 4 years. Yesterday was a historic day for President Trump. He signed 42 executive orders, memorandums, and proclamations. He took more than 200 executive actions on top of giving 3 speeches throughout the day and then attending 3 balls late into the early hours of the morning.
She served as the National Press Secretary for the 2024 campaign of Donald Trump. Yes, she did.
You like her?
She's currently drinking a caramel macchiato in the New Hampshire native from St. Elson College. Okay, so that's the new press secretary we're going to be looking at for the next few years.
Well, she's a hell of an improvement over Karine Jean-Pierre, who was utterly incompetent, evasive, deceitful. not really qualified, in my opinion. This woman looks impressive for her age.
Those are my favorite qualities that you just talked about. I must admit, which now brings us to it brings us to the final pits here. Jim, we're running out of time. I want to give you the final say here as we close the night here. As we're just a day and a half, 2 days, 48 hours into the new presidency. Jim Fetzer, what's your final thought on where we are today going forward?
Well, it's refreshing to have a president of the United States again. The press corps has been just overwhelmed by having a guy who actually can field questions, can answer questions on the spot, who's not reading off of cue cards, or they're not being managed and stampeded away from the guy as fast as possible, as has been the case with Biden. He's clearly competent. The other guy was obviously not. It's refreshing. It's inspiring. I'm overwhelmingly ecstatic about the change in administrations. I only have that caution about Trump's past enthusiasm for Israel, and I'm hoping it's not going to undermine the success of his administration in his efforts to make America great again.
Make America great again. Yes, it is. And my final thought here is making America great again, Trump 2.0, which, by the way, you'll see the new Trump 2.0 long sleeve shirt in the store. I'd be shameless plugging myself, but I can't help it. This is something we've all been waiting for 5 years. For years, we wanted to see what was going to happen in the new golden age. That's what really excited me 5 years ago. The chance of really seeing true innovation hit the American shores again. The opportunity that Americans can still invent things, manufacture things. I mean, we created rock and roll. We have been the leaders in so many different industries and categories. But to have that taken away was no more kind of evident than when everybody was wearing masks, because the mask was a sign of censorship, because communism doesn't like expression. Communism doesn't like Renaissance. It doesn't like the true killer of the conglomerate, the individual. And for many people right now who were a voice in the wilderness, who were deemed crazy, lost their friends and family, well, they're deemed crazy no more, because none dare call it conspiracy. None dare call it anything but freedom and recapturing the true essence of the Republic of the United States. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about, Jim. My final thought here. It is exciting. It is exciting. So anyways, we're going to get out of here, everybody. So Jim, how can we find you? How can people follow you? You're all over the place at Revolution Radio. Go ahead, Jim. You're
Monday, Wednesday, Friday from noon to 2 Eastern on Revolution.Radio Studio B, and then 5 days a week on RBN from 3 to 5 in the afternoon, Republic Broadcasting Network, where I succeeded Michael Raviro in his time slot, and I really enjoy this show.
Really wonderful. So on that note, follow Jim where he goes. I'll be back tomorrow night. And you don't want to miss that. So for Jim Fetzer, for Aaron Cates, I'm Dean Ryan saying thank you for sharing a bit of your night with all of us. Till next time, always remember to stay tuned and stay awake. Good night, everybody.
Country's got a hold of my soul. Oh, no, no. but you know I'll be there. You seem very beautiful to me. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, the rest of your life that keeps on rolling, rolling, rolling. Got a picture in my pocket. It looks like you. It's the rest of your life that keeps on rolling, rolling, rolling. Time.